All right, for today's video, we're going to be finishing off our look at the Transformers Beast Wars Tripredacus team. I took a look at each of these guys individually for my last few videos, and for this video, we're going to be showing off how the actual combined mode works. To just get started into it, we're going to start with C-Clamp. Mostly, C-Clamp's going to be the legs, Ramhorn is going to be the arms, and Cicadaon turns into the chest and head. So we'll just start off with C-Clamp here. Basically, what you want to do is you want to take this whole section, it will actually unclip from this piece, and you just kind of bring it down like this for now. And then, similar to going to robot mode, you just split this whole section with the lobster head here down the middle, which sometimes pegs in really securely. There we go. And we can just rotate it around so it sits like this, and then you want to rotate the legs again around like this. And then we can kind of just adjust these joints here so that they're facing forward for the knees. You can also spin them around if you want this little textured bit facing forward. It doesn't really matter one way or the other. It works either way. They kind of hinge in both directions. And then we just fold open the claws here to be the heels, and then just bring this to the back just for now. And there we pretty much have the legs of Tripredacus here. We're definitely going to have to adjust the camera here as this guy gets bigger. Next, we'll focus on Cicadaon. So what you basically want to do for him is we want to open up these panels just like this, and then take the legs, which were previously, or the bug legs, robot mode arms, which were previously pegged into these two pegs here, and you actually rotate them around like this, and they'll peg into each other using just these pegs here, which is not the best connection in the world because they also both, have this peg here that kind of run into each other, but it mostly works, and that will be part of the chest detail. And then basically for the legs here, you want to kind of like fold them up on the hinge and the ball joint here, just kind of pull them back a little bit like that, so you can take the waist section and split it, and it will double hinge up like that, and then the feet pretty much sit in the same cavities that they were before, just kind of splaying out to the side a little bit. And then you want to take just the sides of the cicada head. You want to flip this piece up and rotate these down onto the chest so they sit on either side of the arms here. And then the bug legs just kind of sit around them, and then you bring these down to kind of meet the other bug legs. And then just for now, we want to take the head and fold it down like this, and then open up this panel where his robot mode head is. And then also we can take the wings and just kind of splay them up for now. And then basically to attach him to C-Clamp, you're going to use this hole right here on the back of the cicada. We'll peg into this hole right here, and then this clip will kind of clip into the two sides of the waist piece. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to line it up, but once it's there, it's pretty well locked in, and then there the lobster legs go. Again, those are going to fall off a few times throughout this process, I imagine. And then before we get him fully standing up and tilting his head up, we need to do Ramhorn. So basically for him, you want to split this section and kind of take this entire section with this white armature and fold it up like this, and then take the entire body section and fold it down like this, and then this entire middle part here is on two sliders, so it slides out like this. And now we're really starting to see why Ramhorn is such of a mess in his robot mode, because he has to accommodate all of these like weird armatures to make the arms mode happen. So he doesn't actually split in two, he remains entirely one piece and still becomes both of the arms, which is kind of neat, but it also does mean that his robot mode is a little bit clumsy. And then you want to fold these down like this basically, and then for this side, this will basically be one of his arms. I usually rotate around the bug head so that he's got kind of like three claws here, using the two bug legs and then the head to kind of be the third claw there, and just rotate it like that. And then for the body, basically what you want to do is just untab the legs and then take this entire middle section, and it will flip around like this so that the hips kind of go into that cavity where the chest was. And then the two legs, robot mode legs, will peg together and just kind of sit like that. And then you bring these armatures back up to the side, similar to how they were for robot mode. And then the robot mode arms will just end up being two kind of like big claws for the combined mode. And then you can just take the robot mode chest and kind of combine it back up just to be some shoulder detailing. And then basically we're taking this entire armature section like this, and this will slide into this slot to sit right behind Cicadacon's head, which is not sitting in there quite properly, which might mess with it. Yeah, you just want it like that so it's actually fully flush in there. And then you can just slot it down like that. There we go, just like that. And then to actually lock it in there, we'll just close this panel back up, bring the robot mode head back in, and then kind of separate it from that panel so it can have its own articulation. And then we want to take the actual leg sections from C-clamp, and they'll fold up like this so that these two pegs will go into these two holes on Cicadaon to fully lock everything into place here. And you just want to line those up and just peg them into place. And there we have Tripredacus in his combined mode. And yeah, that's a really, really neat combined mode sequence. I really like how all of that works. He definitely has some issues. Like he can usually stand all right once you get him standing, but some of the joints are like not fully designed to hold the full weight. A lot of the like ball joints and stuff on C-clamp tend to give way after a little while, but you can usually get him standing. It's just he can't really do any super dramatic poses or anything like that. But yeah, no, he's got a really cool looking combined mode aesthetic. I do like the head sculpt here. It has a weird little like goatee thing going on. I do sort of wish that the teeth were picked out in some sort of differently colored paint, because you know it's kind of typical of this color of white plastic, but it does kind of eat detail, so it doesn't look as good as it could, but still it's a pretty cool head sculpt there. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so it can rotate around like that. It only gets really about that range before it starts to bump into the panel that it's on. This shoulder can swivel around like this. It hinges out to the side here, so you know you kind of have to bring the panel up to adjust it. But you know it mostly gets the job done. I like how they did this joint a lot better because there's no detents here, so you can actually adjust it slightly. Whereas on this side, that joint is actually kind of detented, which is a bit annoying because then if you want it to his side fully, it's just like completely stuck to him like that. And if you bring it out just like one click, it's a little bit too far out. I'd say that the arms, again, going with Ramhorn here, he's kind of the weakest part of the set. I understand why he works the way he does to like get the arms to actually stay together and slot in like that, but definitely I think that the legs and the body are pretty cool. The arms are a little bit of a mess, which is mostly fine, but worth mentioning. And then you do have a swivel right here, and then this I guess you could use as an elbow joint, and then each of these claws are on individual ball joints here. And then for this arm, again, like I said, it's got that detent out to the side. It can also rotate forward like that. And then no real elbow to speak of unless you're counting like these as elbows, because that's how the claws work. So just kind of like a weird bug parts arm. It's a little bit less defined than the other one. This also would be the hand that you'd hold the combined mode weapon in, basically the claw weapon that came with Ramhorn, which, like I've mentioned, I don't have the weapons for Ramhorn and Cicadaon, so I can't do the full combined mode weapon, but you take the little like extra winglets and you could actually peg them into the claw weapon. And I think maybe there were also like spring-loaded missiles. I'm not totally sure. I've never owned it, but that's how that was supposed to work. And then he could just hold it in Ramhorn's hands, just like Ramhorn could with his claw weapon. But yeah, nothing at the waist, obviously. The hips are on ball joints just for being, the shoulders of C-clamp. They can hinge forward and they can't really hinge back just because of, they run into the body of C-clamp, and they can only go out to the side about that far. He's got a swivel here and here. And then this joint you can use as a knee joint. So depending on how you have it rotating, I guess you kind of want it a bit more like that. Yeah, you want it rotated the other way, because otherwise it just adjusts the position of it just slightly enough that it can, hinge past these bits. But they do kind of get in the way. But those are basically the knee joints, and then you can kind of use that as the double jointed knee with the ball joint there, and then that's going to fall off for the millionth time because, yeah, those parts, specifically that one, does not stay on very well. But really, like proportionally, you'd want the knee to be right in between those joints, but it more or less works. And then because that one, the lower one, is a ball joint, you also get another swivel there. And then the feet can kind of, they can't really tilt forward and back when they're fully open like this, but each the heel and the toe can tilt forward. And then if you want, you can also fold out the big like claws. I think that his feet are kind of big and dumb looking enough already, so I don't tend to prefer that, but you could do that if you want the feet to look a little bit less like clown shoesy, but then they don't like fully sit on the ground. And I don't know. I think his feet are big enough as is, so I usually leave those folded up. But that is an option if you want to use it. But yeah, no, he's a pretty successful combiner, all things considered. Just a little bit klutzy, and he's a toy of his time, so it does take a little bit. Like the ball joints have kind of loosened up over time. But yeah, in terms of comparisons with him in his full combine mode, just for those standard ones, here he is again with Kingdom and Waspinator, like we showed off with each of the individual figures. So you can see how he stacks up with them. He's basically like big Voyager leader class. Here he is with Kingdom Megatron. So you can see he pretty much stacks up with him. So kind of, comparable to our modern leader class figures. And then for some other combiners, here he is for a Combiner Wars combiner. Here he is with Bruticus, just so you can see what they look like together. You can see pretty decently dwarfed there. He doesn't really stack up against modern combiners. And here he is with Legacy Menasor, just so you can see what he looks like with him. Again, a lot smaller, but still a pretty cool set overall. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to them. They're really fun figures individually. Ramhorn, I still think, is the weakest of the three, both in combined mode and in his individual modes. Like the Rhinoceros Beetle is okay. It's pretty good, but the robot mode is kind of a mess. It's not a terrible figure, just definitely the weakest of the three. Whereas Cicadaon and C-Clamp, I think, are both really solid figures in and of themselves, and I do really like how the whole combiner sequence actually works. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to them. It's a pretty cool set, and definitely would recommend picking one up if you're able to find one for a decent price. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Beast Wars Tripredacus.